what is actually leadership? I have seen lots of definitions of leadership, and I have found out this mind map, and I think there are lots of good definitions of what it is. There are some are quite funny, like say less. Actually, good leaders should hear everybody, who should be able to listen to people who are talking to them. Good leaders should have good vision, integrity, courage, should be able to take risk and responsibility. Good leaders should be strong and not rude, should be kind but not weak, bold but not bully, proud but not arrogant. There are lots of other good advices on this mind map. When you got the presentation file, you can look at it into details. But telling the truth, I'm not quite a big fan of definitions, so I'm more keen on practice. So we are going to see the first model of the leaders. And it is called situational leadership. It is based on the idea that everybody has a different level of motivation and different level of skills. And when we deal with people, for instance, when we manage people, we should take it into account. I think that in our company, who should be really good leaders are managers, are scrum masters, are technical leads, are QA leads and BA leads, and they deal with people on daily basis and should take into account that, for instance, let's look at the square. First of all, because the square describes the employee level of competence, which means skills, and commitment, which means motivation. For instance, when a newbie comes to a company or some person changes the department or changes the project, he or she will be a newbie for this project or for this new area of activity. And when you are dealing with such a person, you should tell a lot instructions to him or her. And we go now to the area how to deal with these people, and you can see it on this graph with D1, D2, D3, and D4 letters. So you should be simple, you should be clear, and you should provide step-by-step instructions how the task should be done so the person understands it. It is not only about junior people who come to Luxoft, who come to company. It is about people who are changing their area of responsibility. For instance, it can be a senior developer, but he or she is asked to prepare some workshops for other developers. It again will be quite a new area for him or her to do. So you should, in this case, provide very particular steps so the person understands you clearly what should be done. And actually on this level, on the level of newbie, it is not necessary to provide understanding about the purpose. You should just provide instructions, not telling even why it is necessary. When you are dealing with a person who have already some skills, some competence, but have quite low commitment, quite low motivation, you should try to sell him your idea, your vision. You should motivate these people a lot. You should provide them why answers. You should provide them the reason why they should do this or that. You should sell your message clearly to these people. Another type of employees we are dealing on daily basis is the ones with quite high skill levels, quite high competence, but not so high commitment. There is some commitment and there is some motivation, and I think it is the area where lots of people around us are. And on this level, we should encourage people, we should support people, so we should work more with motivation of people, and we should share responsibility with them. For instance, if you provide some task to this person, you should be able to explain how to do the task, not in very detail, but provide some general vision about how the task should be done, provide some vision about the result of the task, the expected result of the task, and then cooperate with this person and coordinate the activity of the person. As for the last part of the square, it is a professional who has high competence and high commitment. And when dealing with this person, you should be a mentor to this person. You should just provide very, very high vision, high instruction, high-level instructions. Because on this level, people know how to do tasks already, and they can be really bothered if you start providing very detailed instruction to them. You should equip them with the necessary facilities, you should empower them, and you should here encourage people actually to risk, because this person can be the one you can delegate your activities, because he or she can be on the same level as you are. The main idea of this classification is that there is no actually one good style of leadership, but there are several styles that should be changed depending on the employee level, on the person level who you are dealing with. There are lots of tests over internet on this situational leadership model. You can pass these tests, and what you get as a result is how often you change your leadership style. Because sometimes people, actually what I notice, that people in our company, in Luxoft, lots of us usually use this D2 parent style. When we are working with motivation a lot, when we are encouraging people, when we are providing them quite details about tasks. And it is good for the person to get such instruction, but it is not quite good for the person who are doing this, because if he's making this stuff on daily basis to lots of employees, lots of energy is going to this parent style. Parent style is the most energy-consuming style, and sometimes it is not necessary to be a parent to a person you're providing some tasks to deal with. So when you do the test, and if you do the test on leadership, you will get the understanding how often you can change your style of leadership, and also you will get the understanding, is the leadership style that you are using is appropriate for situations or not, because there are people who are changing their styles very easily, very quickly, but it is not on the point. So a person, for instance, can use like mentoring style when selling is necessary, or can use, for instance, parent style when mentoring is necessary. When the person in this is a professional, he has skills, he has motivation, it is not necessary to parent him. It is necessary just to provide a vision and provide some space for a person to find his own way. So again, the main idea of this model is that you should be able to change your styles as a leader. One more instrument that I would like you to become familiar with is a Deming cycle or PDCA cycle. I think most of you know this very well, but I very rarely see people who are actually using it. So during the plan stage, you should set some parameters that you are going to achieve. Actually, on this stage, you are defining how you will know that you already achieved your results. Then you do some actions, and then the very important step that is usually missed, you should check, depending on your parameters, whether you already meet the result, whether you already get the necessary result or not. And only after checking you should act. Sometimes people actually skip this check, just plan, do and act, plan, do and act. And the problem here is lessons are not learned, and we are not actually learning from our mistakes if we are skipping this check step. What I read in one book, that people from eastern part of the world, like Japan, for instance, really focuses on check stage, but people from western part of the world, like States or Europe, are usually very fond of planning and doing. One more technique that I would like you to get familiar with is dealing with decision making. And if the previous two techniques, like situational leadership and PDCA cycle, they were more about analytical skills, more about analysis of the situation, but here actually very logical, this one and this one. But this decision-making technique is a bit about our unconsciousness, about our feelings. And to do this technique, you should have like two choices in front of you to decide on. For instance, it can be a choice to relocate or not to relocate. That is quite a relevant choice for now for many employees. You should draw a visual line on a floor for this technique. Then you should have some tokens like markers or stickers or pens that you should put on a floor. You should define now moment, and you should define choice 1 at the one end of the line and choice 2 at the second end of the line. Then you should stand on now moment in such a way that in front of you you see one of the choices and the other one was at your back. And then you start moving very, very slowly to one on the choice with your back. So when you start moving, it is very important to move with your back while you keep seeing the choices, the other choice in front of you. And when you are moving, you are speculating about the activities that you are doing to get the choice 1. So for instance, if you are relocating, and for instance if a choice 1 is about relocation and you start moving to this choice with your back, you say to yourself, okay, I have made a few steps and it is like a few weeks, so a few weeks passed and it is not like April 17 now, but it is for instance May 10 now, and on May 10 I'm going to see the city where I'm going to relocate. And you can provide some information about this visit. You're actually imagining it, but you are saying all your statements in present tense. So you're saying like, I am in the city and I'm working through the city, something like this. And you also try to understand how you feel about situation. So first of all, you imagine it in details, even if you don't know the exact details, just imagine what you know. And then you try to understand your feelings about this image. So, and then you move again a bit back and you say, okay, now it is, for instance, June 1. And on June 1, I should start preparing documents for relocation. I should visit some government organizations where I should get probably some visa for me and for my family, and you again provide some information in details, even if you don't know what exactly it will be, just what you know. And you again saying how you feel about it. For instance, you say, it is actually boring, I hate doing this. But you continue doing this. And then, for instance, in you can say that, okay, it is July now and I need to sell my car because I'm really going to relocate and probably I should start moving the furniture out of my rent flat. So you again describing this moment. You're describing it in details, how you will do this, and you can say, oh, I feel pity about this. Well, it's so like I said, I used to this flat, I used to this car, and it's tearing me apart. And what also is very important, that you see the choice 2 that is actually in front of you, but it is moving out of you, it is moving far away from you when you're moving to the choice 1. So when you came to the token that was a choice 1, you're actually relocated. And you describe where you are and again what you feel. This technique usually takes me to do for nearly 1 hour. I sometimes do it with someone else, not by alone, because then you can have more questions from this person. The person can start asking you about some circumstances. When you do it to one, when you did it to one part, to one side, you again come to now moment and do the same activity to the other choice. You again say, for instance, it is 2 weeks past and I am on the same place, I'm going to the same office, I have the same activities after my work, I'm going to the same volleyball section, I'm doing the same. So, and you say, oh, that's great, I'm feeling quite okay about it, everything is familiar to me. And again, you're saying 6 months passed, for instance, and I'm again in the same city and you are describing the situation you're in, and you again trying to match your feelings with what you see. When you did this exercise to both ends, you stay on reality, on now, I mean not on reality but on now moment. Close your eyes, put your hands up on sides. It will be like a letter T. So you will like a letter T. So you're closing your eyes and then you try to feel what hand is more heavier than another. What hand is what side you would like to move more. And you're moving on the line, trying to understand where is the balance, trying to find the balance between your two hands. And when you found the balance, that both hands are of the same weight, you open your eyes and see where on the line you are standing. Is it really the center of the line, or you moved to some of the choices? Actually, sometimes when people found themselves standing more closer to a choice 1, they say, okay, yes, I feel like I would like to do one choice. I feel like actually I would like to relocate, but logically I need choice 2 and I'm not going to relocate. So anyway, this technique will provide you an opportunity to live through, even in your imagination, the situation. Let me see what questions we have. We had how to deal with people who think that their level of the competence is higher than it really is. It was a question about the situational leadership model. So I think you should continue to practice the corresponding level. For instance, if you think that a person is on a selling level, right, so you should try to sell him or her the idea. But if you see that the person, it is not working with him or her, you should try just D1 or D2 level. Just try the level which stands near it and see the result. Nothing bad will happen if you provide more instruction to a person or provide more responsibility to a person. You can do it with the tasks that are not highly critical for a project. For instance, if you provide responsibility for a task that even if the task is failed, there is no bad impact on the project. So just play with it. Okay, so again back to this decision-making technique. I have did this technique with myself for several times, with other people. It works pretty well. I actually once did it even 5 times faster than it should be done during, for instance, 15 minutes out of 1 hour, and it worked anyway. So it is possible to make a choice even when making it quite fast, but I still recommend you to do it in details because it provides you a possibility then to become more deeper in details, to become more deeper in the situation, to feel the situation through. One more technique of analytical type is this one, and it is called well-designed result. And on this technique, you should define the current state, the desired state, and the transition plan between current state and desired state. When you are describing current state, you are describing the criteria for this state. You should describe what you see, what you see around you. It's like visual representation of this state, audio representation of this state, for instance, what you hear, and kinesthetical representation. For instance, you would like to be a manager and now you are an employee. So what you see, I see open space around me when I am an employee, but when I become a manager, I will see my own room. So here you provide very, very detailed parameters about how you know that you actually get what you wish. Then you provide some context about the situation. What are the people around me who have impact on my current state, how I can impact anyone, how my family can feel about my current stand. So a bit more details, not probably such particular like about criteria, but general details about the situation. Actually, what is really important is secondary benefits. So what is the secondary benefit that I have from the current state? There is something good about it if I still have this state. And okay, what is also good is to enumerate the tried solutions. What you have already tried to came from current state to desired state. And then you describe the same about your desired state in details. What are the parameters, the criteria of the desired state? Because it is good to know where you are moving in details. I mean, if you don't know what you want, how you can get to this position. Also, the context is necessary. You should formulate your state in a positive statement, what it is meant. It's like, I would like to be a manager, not like, I don't want to do this boring job of QA engineer, or I don't want to write documentation for the project. It is not don't statements, so use positive statements. I mean, tell what you want and not what you don't want. Sometimes people say, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want the third thing, but actually it is very difficult to understand then what actually they want. This state should be realistic and relevant. So check it on some relevance level for yourself. Is it relevant actually to get this position? And eco-friendliness, it is how this position will, for instance, or how this new state will impact your health, relations with your family, with your friends. Will anybody be upset if you get your desired state? So, taking this example of relocation, maybe you will leave all your friends in your home city and you will be missed and you will be missing them. So actually this eco-friendliness is very important to take into account. Then you make a transition plan. You enumerate the challenges on your way. What prevents you from getting this desired state? Here you can also in transition plan take into account the right solutions. You should also think about the resources that can help you to get to the desired state. It can be people, actually it can be money, it can be some knowledge. You can read about something. It can be probably some mindset abilities, some skills. For instance, if you would like to have a higher position, but your English skills are not well enough for this position, so you should think about your abilities to speak with the foreign clients. And what I think it is the most important way in transition plan is your first step. You should describe it in very, very details. How I will do this. For instance, tomorrow I will do these and these and these to get to the desired state. Next week I will do this. So you should provide particular action items with due dates. And then definitely follow it, because if you start postponing it after these, no need to create such metrics. One more technique I would like to get you familiar with is a wheel of happiness. Good leaders should know, at least should know, how they feel about different areas in their life. And this wheel of happiness gives you a possibility to decide what areas of your life should be improved. You can decide on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 represents a total absence of the positive feeling about some area, for instance, about finances, or about career, or about community, or physical environment around you. So then you should draw your own wheel and see that, okay, in this drawn wheel of happiness, the fun and recreation is mostly missing. So the person has good health, good spirituality, good relationship with spouse, partner, like girlfriend, boyfriend, but very lack of recreation and friends. So when you create your own figure on this wheel, you can see what areas should be improved and then work in the direction of the improvement these areas if you would like. And for this you can use the technique that we have discussed, for instance, like well-designed result. Sometimes during our life we need to do activities that we don't like to do. And for this, let me see the questions, because I see the questions are coming. Can you repeat about secondary benefits? Yes, about secondary benefits, yes I can. Secondary benefit. For instance, if you become, if you have a high position, you will need to go to business trips, and for some people it can be a stress. So for some, when you are on your current position, you can work, for instance, from 9 to 5 and be happy about it. I mean, you have more time. So the secondary benefit for this case is like having more relaxed life. What else the secondary benefit can be? Yeah, spending more time with your friends and not at work. So something that you are getting, something that you are getting from your current state, it can be the secondary benefit. Sometimes it is not quite obvious, and probably you should ask the people around you, your family or your good friends, what they think the current state is giving to you. Maybe then they can provide you some information on it. When deciding on secondary benefit, you should be quite sincere to yourself, because sometimes we are lying to ourselves and don't wish to admit that we are more happier in our current area of comfort and don't want to move anywhere from it. And it is better to understand the secondary benefit before moving to desired state, because when you came to desired state and you will miss the secondary benefit, you can feel that it is not the state you actually wished. One more question. How to estimate level of will happiness? How to estimate level of will happiness? It is your subjective opinion about it. If you feeling some problems, if you're having some problems with identifying it, again, probably someone of your family or someone of your friends can question you. For instance, question how often you meet your friends, how many friends you have. Have you more friends in your past? Would you like to have more friends? And what you will do with these friends, right? So you should ask yourself some questions on this area if you can't right away to define the necessary level. This wheel of happiness usually takes me probably 40 or 50 minutes to fill in. I usually do it probably once a year, and actually it is interesting then to compare your wheels from different years. So you can see that your priorities can change and your feeling about different areas can change. For someone to have low fun and recreation area is probably okay, but then you see, okay, I don't have lots of fun and recreation, but I'm quite fine with it. I would like to focus more on finances because I think that finances for now is much more important. So it's up to you. We are moving further, and one more technique to play with your unconsciousness is a chocolate of Lady Godiva. This technique is about doing unpleasant tasks, having pleasant emotions. But you really should be careful with this technique because you can't like anything. You can't like doing anything. So you can try to use this technique for activities that are really, really necessary to be done. For instance, if you can't stand doing sports for a couple of years, so probably you can start using this technique to go into some sport activities. Or if you're really suffering from making some reports at your work, like regular reports, monthly reports or quarter reports, and it makes you pain all the time, you can also try to use this chocolate Godiva technique. So what you should do to use it? First of all, you should create a motivational picture for yourself. It can be a picture, if you like chocolate, it can be a picture like when you're eating chocolate. If you don't like chocolate, it can be a picture, for instance, like you are spending a good time with your friends. Or it can be a picture of anything you would like to do, It can be a picture like you are sitting near the sea. It can be a picture of some of your holidays, but it should be a real picture. I mean, it should be something that you are really enjoyed already in your life. Enjoy it maybe once, like some good holidays, or enjoy it on a regular basis. You are imagining this motivational picture in very, very details. Where you are, for instance, if it is a long holidays, you are trying to identify the very pleasant moments. If you are eating chocolate again, if you are decided to use the picture of eating chocolate, you again in details imagine what chocolate it is, how it is look like, is it black or white chocolate, what the taste of this chocolate, is it chocolate with nuts or without nuts, with raisin or without raisin, so you provide in details. If you decided to take a picture of spending time with friends, again, where you are with your friends, in a bar, for instance, or you just sitting somewhere outside with them when you're talking together. So it should be a very particular picture. After this, you should visualize a task picture about the activity, again with the details. If you are suffering about some reports making, you should visualize how you are making this report, what the kind of this report, where you are sitting, is it you're making this report at home or in an office, what you see in your office, like describe in your imagination your table, your laptop or your PC, the chair you are sitting. So you should have two very detailed pictures. Then ask yourself about the level of resistance of making this task activity. If the level of resistance is really very high, for instance 8 out of 10, I don't recommend you to do this technique, because well, it will not be like eco-friendly for yourself to make you do something that you really don't want to do. You probably better delegate this task to someone, and we will talk about actually delegation today as well. Or you really hate doing sports, so no need to make yourself doing this. So it can be very bad for yourself. So you have two pictures. You have checked eco-friendliness of the task to yourself. Then you will visualize the task picture in front of the pleasant picture. What I mean, that you visualize two pictures, one in front, another. So just imagination game. You imagine like one task picture, you see it clearly, and after it there is a pleasant picture, but you don't see it because now you see your task picture. Then you start making a hole, a small hole in your task picture, so you can start seeing the pleasant picture in this hole. You're making this hole till the time you start feelings about the pleasant picture. So the pleasant picture should make you feel well, because it is some activity that you really like, and you're making this hole in a task picture to get these pleasant feelings to yourself. You're making this hole to the size when you really feel very good, and then you start sizing the hole to small. You start doing this hole smaller and smaller and smaller, but keeping this pleasant feeling into yourself. Then again, you should start to making this hole wider and wider and wider till you get the maximum of this pleasant feeling. You play with it for 3-4 times, and what we are trying to do this technique is to anchor actually the pleasant feeling to the unpleasant task. So when you start doing this unpleasant task, probably you will not feel like very good about it. I mean, you will not probably feel the same way as like you are sitting with your friends, but you will feel less resistance and you will feel quite fine about doing it. So you play with these holes and then try to close this hole and keep the feeling. If you can't close the hole in the task picture and still have this feeling, you just leave a small hole in the picture, not closing it completely. Then you stop doing this technique, and after some time just try to do this unpleasant activity, the task activity, and try to notice the differences in the feelings that you have. There should be some shift, some slight shift, or for someone it can be quite a strong shift, to the level of pleasantness, to the level of pleasure when you are doing this unpleasant task. You can do this technique several times. Actually, you can do it one, then after some time start doing this technique. Just, I don't recommend you to do the unpleasant task right away. Just give some time to your mindset, to your consciousness to digest, to your unconsciousness and consciousness to digest this information. So probably next day will be quite good. So do this technique on Thursday if you need to do your Friday reports, and then on Friday start doing these reports, or some doing any other unpleasant activity. The main idea is to notice these changes. If you have some slight changes and you would like to maximize it, try to do this technique again. Probably you should imagine more pleasant picture. If you getting very slight pleasant feelings, probably you should maximize the pleasant picture to yourself. Maybe it will not be like meeting with friends, but it will be something more inspiring to you. Maybe some achievements, maybe some really very good event of your life. So that is all about these techniques. No questions? Okay, we are going further. what I think is also very important for leaders to do is to be able to delegate tasks and to control how these tasks are done. And here we can see why people can avoid delegation from sometimes. For managers, it is just because they don't trust people, or because they can do this task better by themselves or faster by themselves. From employees' perspective, they can avoid being delegated a task because they don't understand the benefit for themselves for this task. Or they had some previous negative experience when they were delegated some tasks but were not able to do it in a good way and were punished for this. So they don't want to be delegated any new tasks, just not to risk. And actually people also don't like to be micromanaged. And we will talk about this micromanagement in delegation level. Also, as a manager or as an employee, if you have some people to delegate tasks to, you can find some benefits of delegation. You can have more time when you learn how to delegate tasks to people. You have a possibility then to go to vacation, because then there is someone who can substitute you, who can cover for you when you're on vacation, and you will not have mess out of the project when you are back. In such a way, you can also develop the employee competence, the employee skills, like hard skills and soft skills, if you are delegating tasks on a regular basis to people. Also, for some people, it is very important to increase their area of responsibility. In such a way, their loyalty is increased to you as a manager, for instance, or to a company. Also, delegation, the right delegation can improve relationship, because you start communicating more to people, you can have more relations with this person, more communication, more collaboration, and if the delegation is done in the right way, it can improve relationship, or it can spoil it, definitely. The situation can happen in such a way as well. So the delegation process can consist of the following steps. Assign a task based on employee motivation level, as we already discussed, and on employee competence level, skills level. Explain a purpose in such a detail depending on the employee level. Specify the area of responsibility. What is the person who are delegating this task is responsible for? Define feedback format and frequency. How often the person should report to you about the progress on this task? Or if you would like to control this task, for instance, twice a week, tell a person that you will be controlling this task twice a week, and you will come to him or her and ask for the progress twice a week. It is also good if you can involve a person in planning process, in process of estimation as well. For instance, when you're asking a person how much time it will take for you to do, and not like how much time it will take for you to do this task in 2 days. It is a bad example how to involve people in planning. It is also good to provide notification instructions. For instance, you can tell a person how to deal with the situation if she or he can't do a task. For instance, if there are some problems happening and you are not available for this person, how they should act in such situation, who to notify about this situation. If it is necessary, you can empower a person for decision making. For instance, you are telling, if I'm not available, just make your own decision, just not wait for me. Or on the other side, tell a person, if I'm not available, please contact your technical lead and ask him to make a decision. There is several levels of delegations. Do as I said, for instance. This level will work pretty well on on this newbie level, newcomers level, when you provide very, very direct instructions, very, very direct details how to do. One more level of delegation is explore and I decide. So make some investigation of the task, came to me, and I'll decide how to act. Also, one more level of delegation is explore and we decide together. We will collaborate about the decision altogether. One more is explore, analyze, and propose a solution. Just be ready that I will ask you about the solution. So probably I will have my own solution, but I would like you to learn how to make decisions and how to look for solutions. The next level is find a solution and inform me about it. Just tell me how you're going to act, and probably I will let you do this way. Find a solution, apply it, and inform me about the result. I'm just interested in whether you were able to do it or not able to do it. Or just do it. Just do it, this task, and I'm not interested in result in anything. I'm just, the responsibility is completely on you, and you're the risk owner of this task. So you can use any level, again, depending on the employee skills and employee motivation. There is also delegation levels, or how often you're going to check the task. For instance, you're going to check that the task only at the end of the due date. In this way you can deal with the tasks that are well known to employees who you're delegating it to. So you're just doing a final check. For instance, the due date of the task is Friday and you're checking this task on Friday. Preliminary, before task due date. For instance, the due date of the task is Friday and you decide to check the progress on it on Wednesday, just to have some time buffer in case there are some problems with the task. If it is you're not quite sure how the person will be dealing with the task, you can set up a regular check on day basis, on week or on month basis if it is some long-lasting task. And it is very important to inform employee how often you're going to check, because sometimes people can think that you provided them a task, you're not going to ask about this task every day, and then they can say, oh, you're micromanagement me. But if you tell a person that you are going to check the person on daily or on a weekly basis because you're really worrying about this task and you is very interested in the result of this task, but you should do it beforehand. So the person is already familiar with the procedure, how this task will be checked. Also, the task can be controlled on stages level. I mean, do the first stage of the task, if the task can be split into subtasks, so then you can create a due dates for each of the subtasks and then make a checkpoints when each subtask is finished. Or you can just tell an employee, okay, just came to me and show me a result when a stage of the task is done. Also, sometimes it is possible to check tasks on random or irregular basis. If you are quite sure about employee, or if the work is quite big, for instance, some huge documentation should be written, and you don't have actually time to check it on regular basis or at the final date because there is like a user guide of 100 pages, you make a regular check. So from time to time you just open this guide on any page and read this page through and trying to understand if there is any mistakes, some misconceptions. It can also work. So it is up to you to decide. You can actually combine these delegation levels. For instance, you can combine preliminary check with regular check. Or you can combine final check actually with random irregular checkpoint. So it's up to you how to organize these checkpoints process. it is mostly all information that I have for today. If you have any questions, please write it to me. What I also would like to share with you is a list of literature to read on leadership. I personally liked this one, the first one, Leading Through Conflict, is how to deal with confrontations and still be a leading, still having a leading position in confrontations. And also, what else? I'd like True North, the Discover Authentic Leadership, Your Authentic Leadership. This one also quite good. As for the rest, all these books are good. Some of them I have read by myself. Some of them I have looked through different reviews, and I liked these reviews and comments on these books, so I think I can recommend you this list. And what I also liked is the last one. It exists only on Russian, that is why there is only Russian name on it. It is actually a book in pictures, and it is very easy to read in 10 minutes, but it contains very good recommendations in pictures. That is all for today. Again, I will read the questions. Yes, I will share the presentation and I will share the webinar recording, I think from 7 to 14 days, because the recording should be converted and should be trimmed, so it can take some time for us to do this. I will share, I don't think that I will able to share the presentation in email, but I will provide a link to Dropbox or to SlideShare where I upload this presentation. So you will get a link into your email where you will be able to find the presentation. Also, I'm usually uploading the video to YouTube, to my YouTube channel, and providing the link to it as well. Okay, thank you everybody. I will leave the session for 5 minutes more. If there will be more questions, I will answer it in email, and please provide your feedback. It is very, very important for me to know it, and I appreciate you coming today because it is Friday and it is evening. I hoped that you liked the information, and when providing feedback you can also provide information about what are the areas, what are the cases you would like to get some news about, to get some new techniques about. Thank you, all of you, and have a good evening and have a good weekend. Goodbye.